Where do you sit in your classroom? At the front, at the back, next to the teacher's desk, or as far from it as possible? Wherever you sit says a lot about you. Chaucer understood that. In the Canterbury Tales, he lined up 30 people in order of importance, the most powerful first, the least powerful last, and then he let them all speak, and the ones at the end had the most interesting things to say.
By the end of this video, you'll be able to discuss the Canterbury Tales in a class discussion or in a speaking exam in clear, fluent English. Hello, lovely learners, I'm Anna, and I'm the one with the lesson plan, the structure.
And I'm Annie, a native speaker. I have no lesson plan, but I bring the structure to life. Before we go any further, if you haven't yet watched our earlier videos on building the mind map for the Canterbury Tales, we highly recommend you to watch those first. The links to those videos are in the description below. The method we use today only works if your class notes are already in your head. This is your checkpoint. Ready? Good. Let's continue. The most useful tip I can give you before we open this map fits in one line, and every sentence you produce in a speaking task will follow this pattern. Subject, the verb to be, information. Everything else is just an addition, and we are going from simplicity to complexity, step by step, and this is where we start. The first branch is title and genre.
Tales is the plural of tale, which nowadays means a story. In Middle English, tale is Talu, and it carried both meanings at once, a story and a tally, as in keeping score. That double meaning matters because the tales are not just stories. They are entries in a competition. So the title is both the name of the destination and the name of the competition. Can you expand my basic version, Annie?
Sure. Canterbury is a cathedral city in the south of England, which was one of the most important sites of Christian pilgrimage in medieval Europe. And the word Talu is the Middle English root of the word tale, whose double meaning, a story and a tally, is built into the competition at the heart of the text. Both the journey and the competition are contained in the title itself.
The key word is frame narrative. You have to form a sentence, use the verb to be, press pause, and try to speak out loud before Annie speaks.
A frame narrative is a structural device in which one story contains other stories. In the Canterbury Tales, the pilgrimage is the frame narrative, which holds all 24 tales together.
If we sum up all the elements in the map for the title and genre, we can say the title of the work is both a geographical destination and a structural promise. It tells us that the journey to Canterbury is the frame for a collection of stories told in a competition.
Here's a piece of context that's not on the map, but that makes the choice of the city of Canterbury very specific. In 1170, Thomas Becket, the Archbishop of Canterbury, was murdered in his own cathedral on the orders of King Henry II. He was declared a saint 2 years later, and Canterbury Cathedral became one of the most visited pilgrimage sites in all of medieval Europe. Chaucer was writing about 200 years after that murder, but the destination still carried enormous religious and political weight. Now, the second branch is about structure and plot.
The General Prologue is the opening section of the work. The tales are stories told by the pilgrims during the journey. Only 24 tales are complete.
The General Prologue is the opening section of the work, in which Chaucer introduces all the pilgrims and sets up the storytelling competition. The host, whose name is Harry Bailey, proposes the contest at the Tabard Inn. Each pilgrim will tell 4 tales, 2 on the way to Canterbury and 2 on the way back to London. That gives us a planned total of 120 tales. However, Chaucer died before he could complete the work, and only 24 tales are complete, which means the tally, the Talu, was never closed.
Pause task. Use this keyword, General Prologue. Say one sentence, use the verb to be, press pause now.
The General Prologue is the opening section of the Canterbury Tales, which introduces the pilgrims and establishes the rules of the storytelling competition.
And here's a detail worth knowing for your exam. Chaucer himself is one of the pilgrims, and he's also the first-person narrator. He tells a tale, but his tale is so bad that the other pilgrims make him stop. That's one of the earliest examples of an author making himself the object of the joke in English literature.
So, to sum up, the structure of the Canterbury Tales is a frame narrative built around a competition, planned on an extraordinary scale, but left unfinished at only 24 tales, because Chaucer died before the tally could be settled. The third and final branch is characters.
Before we go through the sub-branches and keywords, here's a frame sentence that applies to all the characters. In the Canterbury Tales, each character is a social force, a representative of a particular rank, occupation, or type in medieval English society. Your job in a speaking task is not to describe the characters. It's to analyze what each one represents. That's the difference between a B grade and an A. Look at the map. The pilgrims are a diverse group from different medieval occupations and social estates. The characters are organized by social status in the General Prologue. The knight is introduced first. The miller is introduced last.
My expanded version is this. The pilgrims are a diverse group from different medieval occupations and social estates, which means the cast of the Canterbury Tales is, in effect, a cross-section of medieval English society. They're organized by social status in the General Prologue, from the nobility and clergy at the top, down through merchants and craftsmen to manual labourers. The knight, whose portrait establishes the highest social rank, is introduced first. The miller is introduced near the end, which places him at the lower end of the social scale.
And here's something I want you to notice. Chaucer's characters are both social types and individual people. The knight is both a representative of nobility and a man worn down by years of real warfare. The wife of Bath is both a respectable widow and a fiercely independent voice. The words both and hold two ideas in one sentence. That's a move that impresses examiners.
So, to sum up, the characters of the Canterbury Tales are a diverse group of pilgrims organized by social estate, from the knight at the top to the poor miller at the bottom, each of whom is both a social type and an individual voice, which makes the collection both a portrait of medieval society and a study in human nature.
Before moving on, here's a piece of context about the author that you might need to review.
Geoffrey Chaucer was born around 1343 into a family of wine merchants, not nobility. He worked as a customs official, a diplomat, and a member of the royal household under Edward III and Richard II. He knew the court, the merchants, and the streets of London. There's a hypothesis, and I want you to note that word, hypothesis, because it's not proven, that Chaucer based some of his characters on real people he had encountered in his work as a civil servant.
For your exam, the distinction between a verified fact and a hypothesis matters.
Right, let's bring it all together. You have a map with 3 branches. You name the branch, you give a basic sentence using the engine that we mentioned before, subject, the verb to be, information. You can expand it with a relative clause or with a both and phrase. You use connecting words to move between the nodes, and you close every branch with a summary sentence. That method works for any literary text, any exam, any speaking task. It's not complicated. It just needs you to practice.
Now it's your turn. Go back to branch 2, structure and plot. Pause this video. Speak through the entire branch without notes, 1 sentence per node, basic first, then expanded. Aim for 1 minute. Record yourself if you can. Listening back is one of the most effective ways to improve your spoken English.
And here's your reward for staying with us to the end. The Canterbury Tales survives in over 80 handwritten manuscripts because Chaucer died before he could specify the order the tales should go in. Every manuscript arranged them differently. The version that most students read today is based on a single copy called the Ellesmere Manuscript, made around 1400 and now held at the Huntington Library in California. What that means is this, that the book on your desk now is one editor's decision, not Chaucer's final word.
Before you go, We want one sentence from you in the comments. Tell us what Talu means for the structure of the Canterbury Tales. One sentence, post it below. We read every single one.
Share this with someone who, just like Chaucer, has started something important and not quite finished everything they planned.
LNT, where literature meets clarity. Stay lit.